Hello, hello, hello. Today is Sunday, May 12th, 2019. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning back in. If you're back, thank you for coming here in the first place and giving it a chance if you're new. Two things to say. First one was that thank you. Second one, more importantly, happy Mother's Day. Couldn't let you dive into this episode without stopping to give a huge shout out to all the moms, literally every single one. I appreciate you, especially mine. You're the shit. Excuse my French. Thank you for everything. Love. 90Something Magnolia podcast, episode 4. Tell the people who you are.
Yes, your boy Big Evan McDuffie, here for the podcast with my boy E. Blessings.
Martha's Vineyard, when are we going there next? Tell me about it.
Dog, so you being a bruncher, you coming up for the 4th. It's already written, so don't back out.
4th.
The 4th of July.
I'll be there, standing on the table, probably a megaphone. Fucking champagne for sure.
Some mimosas? You get some mimosas?
Not just straight champagne.
Straight champs?
Straight bubbles.
All the bubbles.
Straight bubbles. Some short shorts.
Yup.
Baggy hoodie.
Chubby shorts. Okay, got you.
Not chubbies. Not chubbies.
True.
When are you going there next? You going there before the 4th?
Yeah, actually I might. So I'm probably going to be in CT for Mother's Day. But
this
my
weekend?
mom, this weekend. But my mom was talking about going up for Memorial Day weekend, so might try to make that flex with the fam. And get up there with her. Spend some time with them, so should be a good time.
What's the very best time to go there outside of standing on the table 4th of July?
Outside of the 4th, it's still, I feel like the first 2 weeks in August. I mean, that's when, like, originally when I started going up, my family started going up, that was, like, the time. And when you would come up with us and everything else, that was kind of like, you know, that second week or first week of August was the time to be there, so.
I wanted to ask you this as well. Martha's Vineyard, summertime or late summertime, where are you going? What's the best thing to do, most fun, interesting outside of Oak Bluff? Oaks Bluff.
Outside the OB wave,
yeah.
I say you gotta check out the Cliffs. The Cliffs is like an area.
Menemsha?
Menemsha.
Is the Cliffs in Menemsha? Or
it's at Quina, I think.
Is the Cliffs in Menemsha are different?
No, same Cliffs, but that whole like Up Island part is what they say. Up Island is like, you know, Chilmark, Menemsha, Aquina,
right.
That whole area. But the Aquina spot is unique because that's like where the Wampanoag people, native people, they kind of have a reservation there, built that out. That's kind of like their area. So it's cool to go out there and check them out. And
yep.
You know, they got a ton of good restaurants. They got the cliffs themselves are actually like pretty historic, and they're clay cliffs. So like they have them protected. You're not just supposed to like go on them too much, or like some people get up there and they get reckless, and like it's basically clay. So some people get crazy and like roll around in it, and like but you can like put it on your face. So like you know, you got the.
Never heard of this before.
No, yeah, you got the what do you call them? The I'm trying to think of the word from fucking Wakanda movie, but
the vibranium.
Yeah, the vibranium. But no, but what do they call the other white people there? I forget the term, but you got those people that are kind of reckless to everything and don't really know the historical context, and like will bug out and rub the clay all over when that's actually something that was like sacred or you know holds value for those people and kind of should stay there. And the cliffs are like diminishing, so it's like you don't want to mess with a resource that's kind of limited in terms of everything else.
Right.
So yeah, for historical context, checking that out.
How far is that from OB?
Shit, probably like half hour maybe, I want to say. The whole island is like super small anyway, so you can probably make a whole lap in like 45.
Right.
But that's probably the furthest most point from OB.
True.
I feel like it's been in grip since you've been there when like, you know, the height of the hype and everything like that. So
of course.
What's something that you might miss most about it, or like one of your most, I guess, memories that you miss about it, or like something you desire when you go there? Like what do you really go there for? What are you seeking? For
sure, good question. Definitely the hooping.
Yeah.
Because that hooping was different than the other hooping.
Yeah, no, it definitely was.
And I don't know if we'll ever do that hooping again. You know?
If our bodies will allow it.
No, our bodies will allow it, but I don't think our schedules will allow it. I don't think the fucking, what do they call it? The calendar app will allow it, just because, I don't know, you know, all back in the day, all the homies and their homies, everybody kind of got a little mini squad.
Yeah.
And now we're all adulting super hard.
Too hard, bro.
Sucks mostly, but is also pretty dope in some ways.
Yeah.
But with that comes the inability to fucking all make it out there at the same time and have energy to hoop
all day.
You know what I mean?
No
Like,
beach, just straight hoop all
straight
day.
hooping it.
In the heat.
It gets tougher. So I don't know, that might be an experience that's frozen in the history at this point. For real.
In the archives.
It might be in the archives. I'd say the hooping is probably the only thing that I wish could go back and do in that same exact type of way.
Yeah.
Not even fucking Pokemon cards. My dude is still there. Holding it down.
Tom, looking like Uncle Tom.
I'm definitely buying some basketball cards from him this week.
Yeah.
This year. Going for the Luka rookie card.
There you go.
Fuck with me, famo.
Got you.
After CT, your roots for the people.
Oh, yeah.
For the people out there.
Got you.
Starting CT.
Yep, started CT. I went to school in D.C. at American. Spent some time out there. Then after graduation, came back to CT. Worked for ESPN for a little bit out there as a temp. It was an experience for sure. Then from there, I went to MetLife. Worked with my boy AB. Shout out to AB the God.
Shout out to the God.
We worked there for a little bit. And then I shot out to Chicago to do this whole investment banking thing.
Here we go.
Public finance, worked my way there. That brought me out to Chicago Dolo, so I was there for about 2 years. And then came back to New York, here in the city now, living with my girl, Chelsea. Shout outs to her as well.
Big shout out to Chelsea holding it down.
Big shout outs. She got me back here to the Northeast. So now I'm kicking in BK, living out here and trying to make some dreams happen and pursue other things that are very anti-traditional finance. So that's where I'm at.
With that, Connecticut, Chicago, and New York City.
And DC.
And DC. Throw DC out. No shade to DC. Much
DMV.
love for DC. The whole DMV.
Yeah, Mo.
Those four cities or towns or whatever. What was the best part of living in each? What has been the best part of living in each?
Well, CT for me is different because it's just like that's where I grew up and all my boys are from there. You from there. Everyone I kind of knew in my inner circle started there.
The roots.
So the roots are there. You can't really take any of that away from anything.
Of course.
That's always gonna be valued for sure. And then DC. DC culture is obviously a lot different than Connecticut, but it also kind of made me realize what culture is in a sense, like what comes from that. Because you got like carry-out spots in DC. This was like also the same time when Wale was really big, so like his whole experience on rap and hip-hop and like what he brought to the table, you kind of see firsthand in DC.
I remember that.
You got DC lingo, which lingo is kind of like universal, everywhere has it, but DC lingo is something different. So I value that and learning about that. And then Chicago is also similar in a sense, like they got their own lingo, they got their own vibe, different but similar. So I kind of value that and just being thrown in a world that you're not used to and soaking in all those experiences and kind of like coming up with who you are and what you're about just based on the different places you've been.
Super different types of cities.
Very different, yeah. I mean, you hear like Chicago's in the news all the time for shootings and all that stuff, but when I was there, it wasn't really about that. It wasn't really like super focused on that. Like Chicago, across the board, is a beautiful spot with beautiful people in there, beautiful black people in there too. So
and it's huge.
Huge. I mean, ginormous. Like Chicago, I think Chicago proper or whatever goes from like South Side all the way up to damn near O'Hare. So like, it's a ton of space to cover in there in Chicago. And the streetwear culture in Chicago is nuts. I got that a little bit in DC, but way more in Chicago. And obviously I'm into sneakers and the whole streetwear vibe, so that was very different in Chicago. And the people there were friendly, and I had a couple people I met through streetwear things out there, which I'm still friends with now. And appreciate those experiences because that made me able to kind of go through Chicago a little bit easier, knowing that like, all right, I can get that vibe when I want that vibe, and you know, it's less of being like an outsider that's into that stuff. It's more like the whole vibe of Chicago is on that wave, so you're not exactly outside looking in. You're actually a part of like a community or a culture. So I got that from Chicago, which I valued a lot.
Super dope.
Yeah, and then here in the city of New York, I mean, it's like that, but just times 100. Like it's almost like more into the New York culture to be into that kind of stuff than like to not be into it. So I love that too for the same experiences and same culture and same kind of vibe.
Yep, definitely.
What about you? What would you say you value most out of your New York experience versus CT and everything?
CT, I like the peacefulness of, you know, the suburban parts that I grew up in. You know what I mean, like West Hartford, Bloomfield, like the towns, and even you know stores being out there in the woods. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's peaceful in a different type of way that you'll never get in one of these major cities.
No, never.
But also Hartford, and New Haven, friggin' Bridgeport, all those type of cities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I grew up in and out of Hartford and things like that. But going to school with all the kids from New Haven and Bridgeport and all those towns out there, Stamford, Stratford, all that stuff. And, you know, a lot of those cities are very, 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 very similar to how I lived when I was in Brooklyn and Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy in 2000, what? I don't even remember. Maybe 14 when I went out there. 2014, yeah. So it's just well-rounded. I appreciate that about Connecticut. And that kind of made it so it wasn't super different or crazy culture shock when I made it to Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
And then being in New York City, just the best is just a crazy and super, the amount and the randomness of the different types of opportunities that are here. It's crazy, like just because of how many people are here trying to do so many different things. Like you can piece it together pretty much whatever you want to do, as long as you just put that thought or that initiative out there. I don't know. Can at least do something.
No, I feel like everybody's got a few like crazy stories that can only happen here in New York, or like that they've experienced only here. Like, just the variety.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse. Just like everybody's got them. They could be completely different and like no correlation at all. But it's like, at the end of the day, this is some New York shit that you'd only find, in New York, but that would only happen here in New York. So
for sure,
definitely got those.
With that, so important to get the fuck out of New York when you live here. So important to help keep the whatever little peace of mind you have left.
For sure.
Where's your favorite place to vacation or visit outside of the United States, or not even outside the United States, but just outside of Martha's Vineyard?
Outside of MV, I gotta say.
And why, of course.
I'm gonna go with Anegada. And Anegada is super special. It's different. My aunt lives out there now. For those who don't know, it's in the BVI's, the British Virgin Islands. Super, super small island. I think about 250 people live there year round. So like, you're literally there and you know everyone if you live there, like my aunt does. But also just like so different in terms of everything. Like geographically, like it's a flat island. It's known for being like super flat. I mean, you can in some parts literally look from one side and see the other side of the island and then the water. Like there's no mountains, nothing like that. It's super flat.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing is like that.
How far is it?
From here or just?
Yeah, from here.
You gotta fly. So we flew from here to St. Thomas, which is U.S. Virgin Islands, and then took a ferry from St. Thomas to Tortola, which is like the big city area. It's an island, but it's like the city of BVI area. And then you take another ferry from there to Anegada. So it's like, I want to say we left at maybe 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning and got there, I want to say about like maybe 5 p.m. So it's almost like half a day or a full day of travel, depending on how you get there. But yeah, so geographically it's crazy. Culturally, it's a black island essentially. Like 95% of the population there is black. And it's interesting in those terms just because like how people interact there, like what the industries are there, and like, you know, I think it's good to see different perspectives all the time on literally everything. So that perspective to me is like, you know, very peaceful and calm and like, you know, on a very, what you would consider to be like a, you know, luxury vacation, but literally is not luxury at all. Like you're not staying there in a resort, you're not going to like a 5-star restaurant. You're just there with local people who enjoy being local people and who you can appreciate for being local people.
Right.
Which is a good perspective to get too, because you go on vacation sometimes and it's like you get the resort experience and you get this and that, but you don't get the true essence of like the culture there. And like people there are super friendly. Mm-hmm. We met a guy who my aunt knows who lives there. He's lived there his whole life. This dude literally never wears shoes at all. Like, literally does not wear shoes. Like goes his whole day, he's gone his whole life without wearing any shoes. And maybe I just think that's crazy because I'm somebody who collects sneakers and like, you know, has a jillion shoes, but this dude goes without no shoes, no socks every day. And nicest dude I know, like he brought us to his home and made us a fish fry. And like this dude doesn't have a lot to do, or have a lot come for money or anything, but just that experience of like wanting to help out and wanting to, you know, welcome people to his culture and everything was fire. Like you don't get that here, you don't get that anywhere else. And like just that pride that comes along with like these people I know, I want to bring them here and show them a good time. That's like A1. You don't get that in many places. So I appreciate that island for those reasons for sure.
Definitely. Oh. Can't forget to ask this one.
Okay.
At the moment, favorite black businesses. Talk to me about it.
Ooh, interesting.
I would say top 3 to 5.
Top 3 to 5? All right, let's see. This is also going to be in relevance of the time that is going on right now and current events and stuff.
Exactly as it should be.
You know, I think this week or last couple weeks are interesting to see Off-White and Virgil's whole experience. He basically got called out for not having a diverse team and not having any black creatives that work for him because he put up an Instagram post or something that said like, these are all the editors or these are all the designers at Off-White, and it was a bunch of white guys. So I think Twitter kind of called him out on that and was like, you know, how can you be a black leader in fashion and not support the culture and hire, you know, from within?
Right.
Very interesting point, interesting argument. He kind of responded back and seemed like he said, you know, this isn't the whole team, you know, and that here are the black creators that work for Off-White, and kind of like put up an Instagram post, there are a few of them, highlighting different people that work on his team who, you know, might have been known, might have not been known.
Right.
And so, like, you know, it's kind of interesting to just watch that. I mean, you don't have to necessarily take a side, but I like to just look at it from the outside, looking in, like, okay, pretty valid argument on that side. Okay, here he backs it up with what he believes to be an appropriate response, which, you know, could also be valid. But I think spurring that kind of conversation and, like, having that responsibility of, like, okay, people we support got to also support us is interesting and probably a, you know, a conversation that should happen a lot. So, you know, I'm going to say Off-White. I got to thank Chelsea for the other one, Brother Vellies. Aurora James, designer there or owner there. I value her story a lot because she's not just on like the, you know, let's get rich and make a cool brand and a cool following, but also like big on sustainability and everything. Like, so that's like an interesting angle that I haven't really known about.
Recycling, upcycling garments.
Recycling, upcycling, sustainability, where you're sourcing your things from. Like I watched a show she was on and she straight up told the dude like, I'm not investing in your company because it doesn't stand for anything else besides just being a company. Like, you don't have any roots pulling it back to, you know, where you're from or, like, you know, giving anything back to anyone else. So, like, she said, I personally can't, you know, I can't invest my money in any things like that. And that kind of can translate to us as a consumer. Like, I'm not going to contribute my money to anyone who's not doing something else with it. So, just interesting perspectives, too. So, shout out to Brother Vellies and Aurora.
How do people find Brother Vellies?
They're on IG, I believe. Brother Vellies, Vellies is Veilles, I believe.
Yeah.
So check them out on IG for sure.
Okay.
Let's see, what else?
You can pick one more if you want to.
Yeah, let's see.
Doesn't have to be close either. Definitely can be. So.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to think. There's different industries and everything I could even want to get into.
in which of those industries that you just mentioned you feel like it's most important to see more black businesses as time goes?
It's like, that's a tough question, I think, because, I mean, literally you want to see them in all of them.
Of course.
Ideally, if you could, in an ideal world. And I think we're so underrepresented in all of them that, you know, they all have a bigger picture and speak to different things. Fashion is obviously one, you know. I think you could easily say that'd be the most important just because black people's experiences and what we've gone through with the fashion world and how much we kind of drive the fashion world and drive what's, you know, what's lit, what's popping, or whatever at that time. You know, it'd be a lot better of a conversation to be involved in if we were actually brought to the table on that stuff. So I think there's desperately needed. I think in finance it's desperately needed, just in terms of like financial literacy, but then also investments and everything. You know, a lot of these people that you might have the privilege of growing up with, or at least that I did, and going to private school and everything, you see these other families that are so involved in financial literacy, and that these kids that know so much about it just without even, you know, taking a class on it, just from naturally being entrenched in that shit from growing up, that like you realize the disadvantage very quickly on how people think about money and the ways that different people are thinking about money. So I think it's interesting to kind of like have a black perspective on that, or at least provide that insight, even if it's not necessarily coming from our homes, but it could come from other avenues. So I think it's desperately needed in there as well as fashion. And just the creative space alone. Like I think there's always like, you know, your parents might always tell you like you gotta go to school, go to college, do this, do that, stay on the straight and narrow path of what's traditionally they believe to work for them, but it's not necessarily the same thing that work for you or work for us. And we don't really have that freedom to say, you know what, like fuck that, I'm actually gonna do some shit that's off the wall and like not go the traditional route and try something else out. Like we almost don't have that privilege to say, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna try something new, and I might not work and it might work, but I want to have the freedom to be able to do it. And you know, I think that we don't really get that advantage or that perspective to do that. So anything that kind of like edges us towards that and having that ability to do it would be great, because why not? Why shouldn't we?
For sure. Especially when we consume so much of it.
Consume so much, and like people use us as references for so much, so anything.
Definitely. All right. Knowing what you know now, what's your best advice to your freshman college self?
Freshman in college self. I'm gonna say to just be patient, number one. Number two, just kind of like take everything in, which is also, you could say, is also being patient. But also just have the freedom to be like, okay, being yourself and being like, all right, this might not necessarily be for me, and I want to go more this route. You know, me personally, I feel like my early years in terms of like college and what I thought, you know, I should be doing and everything else kind of drove a lot of what my actions were. Like, oh, like I should get into politics because my family might have been into politics, or I should get into banking because that's like a traditional good field to get into and you can make money doing that, versus like, let me just jump into sneakers full time, or let me jump into something creative, or let me take a risk, you know. So I think I'd probably be more open to doing that, because ultimately it could save you some time. You know, I obviously went a route that was not a straight trajectory, but you know, not to say that's, you know, a better route to take or a less route to take. You know, I think all those experiences kind of shape you and who you are, and you value things differently. But I would say just being patient and being okay with like just being yourself and like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna fuck with, versus like what I should fuck with, or, you know, quotes, should fuck with. So
right.
I think just giving myself that ability to kind of like do that would be number one.
Huge. Anything else for the people?
Let's see what I got for people. If anyone needs some sneakers, hit me up. Obviously, I'm a sneaker guy at the same time. That's been an interesting little plug. I gotta get my little plug in there. But been an interesting little like route, speaking of everything we're just talking about and coming full circle with everything. So flipping sneakers full time now, working with a company to do that. It's been real interesting. I've met a ton of interesting people, and like I got wild stories to tell about that. And some of them are like your typical New York story that we were just talking about, like it's just some shit that can only happen here. But definitely, if you guys like sneakers or want to hear more about them, follow me for sure on the gram or something. Tons of experiences there to go about it. Hit me up if you guys are interested in getting into anything. I'm sneaker reselling. A big part of the whole sneaker industry has kind of been like, at least from when I was going into it, was like everyone's keeping everything kind of in for themselves. No one wants to kind of like speak on it or get people hip to it, or like share any real experiences or how to do it. And now at this point, it's kind of like, for me, break all those walls down. Like, that exists in a bunch of other industries, and it kind of keeps people back. So I don't want that to exist in the industry that I'm in, that part of something that I'm doing. So, like, if you guys genuinely got questions about that stuff, hit me up. I'd love to talk about it.
Word. Y'all stay blessed.
Peace. Yeah.